Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm David, and once again we're going to be taking a step away from making terrain and having another look at tackling that pile of shame that seems to be bothering so many of us. Now, tackling miniatures one by one the way that I did in the last video is not the best way to go about it. It's a good start, it gets you back putting brush to paint, as they say. But realistically, what you want is to be getting through a reasonable number, and you only get time saving by doing batch painting. So that's what we're going to be doing today. In for a penny, in for a pound, I'm going to do a complete battle force. Let's start off with a couple of the rules that I follow when I'm doing batch painting of any kind. Now, the first rule is be sensible. There is absolutely no point in lining up 10 character miniatures, all that have got different colour schemes, and expecting to get through them in a reasonable amount of time. It's not going to happen, okay? This works best when you've got a large amount of rank and file and you just want to battle through it so that you can spend some time on your character figures or your generals. One of the things about being sensible is choosing the correct colour scheme. The less colours that you're putting on the miniature, the better. Now, I referred back to these guys. These were goblins, Lord of the Rings ones. And I said that I could get these done in under 10 minutes. Now, that is true, but the colour scheme on this consists of 5 colours only. Black for the undercoat, there's a dry brush of metal for weapons and armour, green for the skin obviously, red for the tunics that were showing underneath, brown was used for weapons and leather, and then once I was finished with it I gave it a complete dry brush in a light grey just to break up those flat colours and give it a little bit of a highlight. One thing I did find is that for rank and file, light grey as a quick dry brush highlight works with pretty much any colour. It does dull down the miniature a little bit, but it still works. It's valid. Rule the second. Maximise on your preparation time. Grab 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there. Back when I set myself a challenge, if this was a good dozen years back, of doing at least one miniature a day over the course of a year, and it was very successful. I actually managed to get up to a 388. But that's a completely different story. I was doing things like taking sprues into work, preparing the miniatures, gluing them together, cleaning them up during my lunch breaks, and then, apart from anything else, it gave me something to look forward to painting when I got home. One of my tricks nowadays is to do prep work while I'm watching TV, and I've got some specialist equipment for that. For crafting in front of the TV, I picked up a couple of these. It's a kids crafting tray table. I got it really cheap, they were on clearance, don't know why. But ideal, I can just pop that on my lap, watch TV and get on with prepping miniatures. Obviously for that you need a decent craft knife, pair of snips just to get them off the sprue initially, craft knife to clean them up, and some glue to assemble the parts. And you can use those side pockets to pop your spare sprues in. The one thing that doesn't come included is a comfy chair, a nice footstool to put your legs up so you can stretch your tray table out on your lap, and of course a TV to watch. Third rule, keep to sensible numbers in your batch. Try and get it so that you can complete that whole batch within 1 or maybe 2 sessions. The quicker that you get them actually completed, the faster you get your reward for knowing that they're done and they're off the pile of shame. Alright? So don't go for a full army and try and batch paint that. You're just going to get demoralised and want to kill yourself, and it's a bad place to be in. Keep it to sensible numbers, keep it to smaller batches. A squad? Yeah, no problem with that. Hey, by the end of one painting session, you could have something that's ready to field on the table. Rule 4. Remember to reward yourself. Back when I was doing that big batch of painting, the miniature A Day Over a Year, one thing that I used to do was break up sets of rank and file with something nice like either a character model or a general or a vehicle, you know, just so that there was something to look forward to as you were going through the drudgery of getting through these rank and file just to get your numbers up. Rule 5. Spray cans are your friend. Now, it could be that you've got airbrushes, and that's great as well. I don't, but when I am choosing my paint scheme, I am always on the lookout to see whether or not, rather than just try and work up from that base undercoat of black, grey or white, which are my usual go-to undercoat colours, if there is a colour that is going to be uniform across the whole squad that can be used as a spray can, and then that is sort of like the uniform colour out of the way. So, as an example, when I was doing my Space Wolf Force, I decided to spray all of the miniatures with, I believe it was a Tamiya Light Ghost Grey. And then from there, because I had the bulk of the colour done, so that's the armour or the plating or things like that, that's all already a nice Space Wolvesy type grey. From there, I could just concentrate on using a blacker ink to blackline the joins and get the separate plates on the armour to stand out, and then just a little bit of highlighting on some of the plates with Space Wolf Grey. Then of course it means that you've got all the rest of your painting time to go over the nice detailed bits like the furs or the emblems or things like that. So we are probably way past the point in the video where you guys want to know what force I am going to be painting. Well, Cybermen. I already had a number of them. This is one that I've already got based and base coated. I was lucky enough before Warlord Games, I'll leave the link for their website, love their miniatures, before they gave up the license to the BBC to print Doctor Who miniatures, I was lucky enough to grab another couple of sets. So these are the frames from the base game set, because I wanted more miniatures and they were on clearance, so why not? It just adds to the pile. But these are getting painted today, and I got another collector's set, which is Cybermen all the way through the ages from 1966 when they first appeared on the TV programme. So that is 3 sets. There's 2 starter sets with 12 miniatures each, and a set of 10 in the collectors, so that's 34 miniatures in a batch that I am going to be tackling. So, first thing I need to do is get my tray table out, watch some telly, get these boys up to the same stage that he is, and then we'll get on with some painting. Okay, all models up to the same level. Undercoat, and they have been based and assembled, obviously. So this is now the point at which I consider a miniature to be ready for painting, and we would be starting the timer. Just so that I am being kept honest, 1 box set here of 12, 1 box set here of 12, plus the 10 in front that are from the collector's edition. Now, the colour scheme for these guys and about 3 of these are going to be so stupidly simple that you are going to say you're cheating. Okay, that's not a true and accurate representation of batch painting. We wouldn't use anything that simple for our models. Fair enough, but the whole idea is to get something with a really simple paint scheme onto the table as quickly as possible. That's how we're going to tackle that pile of shame. But to keep me honest, the rest of the guys here are going to be, I guess, more like officer models. A little bit of extra detail. And for that, I have actually got the painting guide on the back here. So I'm going to be following this as closely as possible. And that will all add into the time for painting this force. So without further ado, it's time to get these chaps outside and give them their first coat of paint. Remember, I said spray paint is your friend. They all get a coat of silver. First coat. Right, we are about to start the first coat of paint, and the clock's running. This is satin silver, We're using a silver coat rather than a chrome because, well, let's face it, chrome is best used for things like Terminators or Cylons, and chances are the BBC Special Effects Department wouldn't run to chrome paint. I hope that dulls down because that's looking far too much like chrome. And we are going to stop the clock just there because there are other things to be done. Right, everything is laid out for painting. Quick word on organisation. I have my paints laid out here in the order in which I'm going to be using them, so I can go straight to them. I've got the miniatures nicely laid out so that I can easily get to them and see where I'm going with regard to progress. And because I'm going to be at some stage following this painting guide, I have those miniatures laid out according to the guide so that I can correlate where they are in the line exactly with the picture. Just keeps everything nice and organised so that we can make the most of our time. So without further ado, let us resume. Now, next colour is watered down blue ink, and I need some water in there. Yeah, I think that's about what I want. And yeah, because this is going to be a wash all over, I'm using a large brush because this is going to highlight all of those joints, and then we're going to be dry brushing the next coat on, and that is not adhering the way that I want it to. Probably that is a little bit too glossy. Right, so that is detergent, and that is to break up surface tension, and yeah, that is far more the coating that I was after. Right, that's just dulling everything down nicely. I'll have to clean out the handlebars later on. Now, you may be wondering why, when I already had a coat of black on the base, why I have gladly gone over that with silver. Well, I will be honest with you, it's because I find that it is far easier to paint around a base than it is to brush metal on. It's far quicker. You don't have to be as neat around a base, and there's an awful lot of dry brushing going on that will help cover any brush marks or anything like that on the base. Right, ink coat all done. I did stop the timer because just as I was finishing the last one, my good lady wife arrived home, so I will restart it now because we are on to the next coat. And it's a big brush again because we are going to be giving the whole lot of them a dry brush of silver again, funnily enough. Realistically, all we were doing with that ink coat was getting a little bit of accenting between the silver plates. And because I'm doing the whole model, there's no need to mess about using a small brush. Start from the top down. Right, how's that time look? 45 minutes in, right. I'm not doing too badly. Okay, dry brushing done. Come to think of it, just having a look at the state of my hands, it's not the worst idea to wash your hands between coats of paint. And the reason I say that is because when you're batch painting and speed painting, you're not necessarily given the model a huge amount of time for the paint to dry. So there is every possibility that you're still going to get a little bit left on your hands. So back to a large brush, and we are going back over these bases. I'll do all the rooms first, and then I'll get onto the bases themselves. Oh, right, rims done. No, I'm not going to clean my thumb because I am still on base work, but I am swapping to a smaller brush, or at least I will once I have watered some of that paint down, because we're going to turn this into more of an ink. I want it nice and watery, and then we are just going to, might want it a little bit thicker than that,
Yeah, nice and watery, just so we can get those bases done. And like I say, I am not too worried about the fact that the silver is showing through, because there's going to be another dry brush of grey over the top of that, which is going to cover all of that up. As you can see, the way they're sticking to them, and obviously, or sticking to the paper rather, and obviously you should be using paper when you're doing painting like this. When I was doing those rims, I was not exactly holding back on slapping the paint about, because the idea is speed, not accuracy, and when you can hide it or go over it, then there is no need. I'll carry on, and I'm going to get to a natural stopping point after I have done all of these bases, because it is high time for a cuppa, and that will give that watered down paint just that extra little bit of time to dry. Planning your breaks so that it maximises your drying time is one of the key parts of your planning. Right, that's that done. Thank you to my good lady wife for taking my cell phone away and putting it on charge, because it was starting to run out. How are we doing? Let's stop it there. Just over an hour and a half. That is where we are up to. And it is time for a break, because I really need a cuppa. Break time over. Let's get on with the next coat, and this is going to be dry brushing grey on the bases. So it is back to household paint, and again it's big brush, and go round the rims first, quick as you can, and then swap into doing the middle stuff. In fact, some of the middle stuff can be done with the big brush. It's only the bit in the middle, sort of between the legs, that's going to have to be done with a smaller brush. So I may as well take advantage of the big brush while I've got it out. I'll carry on. Right, last bit of basing done. Last paint change. And after this one, I am going to call it done for the night. Now, this is black wash, and I need a fine brush, and I just need to pick out the eyes. Well, not pick them out. You know what I mean. Paint them in. Right, so just to catch you up, I've done all of the lighting. All of the eyes. And that one, and that one. And I've got one final little piece of ink work to do that I'm using a slightly larger brush for, because the cabling on the legs and waist on these two are more pronounced according to the painting guide. And this one, the gun, is darker. And that's not a strap, that is actually part of the gun. So we are just going to ink all of that. And that is that one done. What's the brush? Stop the clock at 2 hours and 46. And the reason why I chose that as a natural stopping point is because a number of these miniatures are now complete. I did say it was a very simple paint job. So base coat, ink wash to pick out the joins in the armour, dry brush of silver, and then picking out the eyes that have been done on all of them, and that is a completed miniature. So that one is done, that one is done, that one is done, and I am going to say that round about from here on the rank and file are also complete. I will select 8 that I am going to do a little bit more colour on to show them speaking, and I'll advance one up to a cyber leader to show them firing their guns. But by my calculations, that is, we are saying 19 complete in 2 hours 46 plus another 120 minutes, 166 minutes. Divided by 19 brings us out at 8.7 minutes per figure. Yes, it was a cheat. It was a very fast paint scheme. And that number will go back up again when
I add in these extras, but that is it for today because I want my dinner and I will pick up the painting in session 2 tomorrow night. Okay, second painting session and let's start that back up. Right, where were we? Okay, these ones have been complete. These ones still have work to do. One thing about Cybermen, some of them do have guns on their arms and we want to show that. So I'm going to put a spot of white on the front of their energy weapons so that we can see that. And when they're speaking, their mouths light up. So I'm going to go back over the mouthpieces on these with a little bit of watered down blue ink again, but on a white background it'll stand out more. Let's sort out the ones that are firing something. And there's a few spots of red on some of the other ones. Right. Spot of blue ink. Definitely getting into the final stretch. I will go for the flesh colour next. And finally, for the rank and file, well I say rank and file, I'll sort out this cyber leader. You may wonder why I'm messing about with such a small brush, and that is basically because I don't want to get too heavy-handed because there is an exact look for the plates and I don't want to go over the lines because obviously black on a light colour is going to be an absolute nightmare to try and rectify. That is the cyber leader complete. I'm going to stop the clock there. So just past the 3 hour mark and these are all complete. That one is complete, that one needs some work on it, that one does, I missed a bit there. That one's now complete. I'm going to take a little break there with 5 of the horde just to finish off. Back to it and we are into the final stretch. Yeah, hello Saxon. Kitten guest appearance. Yeah, that's right, there was a bit I missed on him. Right, he's complete. Now this one for some reason has darker armour than all the rest. So dull it down with what used to be known as bolt gun metal. And you're complete. That's what I want. Just to get some definition on those fleshy hands of the Mondasian Cyberman. And that's that one done. No, black piping's already done. That one is complete. One left to finish off. Just go back over these silver areas that I did in white. Last piece of flesh touched up. And last dot of black ink just to redefine those eyes. Mission complete. Good job as well. Stop the clock. And there you have it. One force, painted and complete. I am quite chuffed about that, I'll be honest with you. So that was a little bit under 3.5 hours across 2 painting sessions, which comes out at around 6 and a little bit minutes per miniature for 34 miniatures all done. Yes, I accept the fact that it was a very simple paint scheme. However, they're correctly based. It is meeting the 3 colour minimum for a tournament table, and it's an effective paint scheme for the miniatures that they are. And that was the very point of choosing these guys. It was to get a nice little bulk of miniatures off the pile of shame and completed by choosing ones that were simple to paint. Next time, and there will be a next time, I'm going to do another batch painting video. I'll choose something which is maybe a little bit more generic so that you can see how they're tackled, and we'll see how the time stacks up. It's not going to be as large a force as this, probably about a dozen. However, if you have enjoyed what you've seen, please do hit the like and subscribe and share and tell people about it and all of those good things. Or don't. It's entirely your call. Get onto that pile of shame, put brush to paint as they say, and I will see you guys in the next video. Probably a terrain one. Bye now. That one I might leave in.
What, like 60 bit?
Yep.